Today on In the Word with Brother Charlie, we find ourselves in Luke chapter 2. And this chapter starts with the birth of Jesus, and it shares a story in the end where Jesus is a 12-year-old boy. I have a 12-year-old son myself right now, and I'm just saying that I and my wife would have had a meltdown if we would have lost our son. I can't imagine what Mary and Joseph had to be feeling when they realized that he was nowhere to be found. Okay, that's not really what I wanted to talk to you about today, and it's not what I wanted to focus on. Just thought I'd share that little nugget. Actually, I wanted us to spend just a few minutes in two separate passages here in Luke 2. And the first is verses 6 and 7. It's a familiar passage. Look at what it says. Starting in verse 6, it says this. While they were there, the days were completed for her to give birth, and she gave birth to her firstborn son. And she wrapped him in cloths and laid him in a manger because there was no room for them in the inn. That got me to thinking. You know, in Bethlehem, there was no room for Jesus. In the synagogues and in the hearts of the religious leaders, there was no room for Jesus. In the Roman culture, there was no room for Jesus. And truthfully, in many homes that will celebrate Christmas year after year, there's no room for Jesus. And before I conclude my thoughts on this, I want us to continue in this chapter because immediately following what Luke writes right here, he tells the story of a group of shepherds that were invited to be a part of the greatest birth announcement in history. When God sent his son, he could have told anyone, but he chose to inform a group of lowly shepherds. He didn't send angels to tell the king. The king was too worried about his own power. He didn't send the angels to the Pharisees. They were too worried about their religious position. No, instead, he spoke to the humble. And he still speaks to the humble today. And the only response that is worthy is the same response that the shepherds had when you look at what they did in verse 20. Look at this. It says this. The shepherds went back, glorifying and praising God for all that they had heard and seen, just as had been told to them. As God continues to move and speak, my prayer for you is that you make room for Jesus, and that you celebrate Christmas in your heart and in your life each day, because he is worthy to be celebrated. Until tomorrow, be blessed and have a wonderful day.